Join me as I rebuild my Xray X4’24 for the upcoming Louth Winter Series. So if you're like me, you may be carrying an older chassis through into the winter, but that doesn't mean you can't make it fast and you can't make it fresh. As you can see here, I've got an array of parts which I've accumulated over the year, just to make it more cost effective and not one big hit. There are parts here that I will replace annually, but some get monthly and some weekly. Right, onto the build. So first things first, I like to start by stripping down the car just to make sure what's what, checking parts. As you can see here, I like to have the parts laid out beside me. That way, as it comes off the car, is how it will go back on. To rebuild a car, you need some quality oils and greases, and in that I use Speedworks. So onto the rebuild, and the first thing to rebuild is the diff. So the diff gets a pair of fresh O-rings which have been soaked in oil, also gets a new gasket and gets a nice healthy top up of 5000 hoodie oil. Make sure when you're rebuilding to make sure the pins are set in, and just make sure once you've built it that it moves freely, because nobody wants a binding diff. Next step is onto the drive shafts, and for the drive shafts I only like to replace the couplings. Then after that I use a healthy amount of Speedworks grease to ensure that these drive shafts move smoothly and freely. Then once I've done that, in this case I'm using the Xray kit bearings, I give them a healthy amount of oil, again ensuring that they're moving smoothly, and place them into the hub carriers. Once hub carriers are on, I then also drop the drive shafts in, again checking for everything moving freely, because you don't want anything binding up before you put it back onto your car. So with everything fresh and rebuilt, it's time to put it all back on the car. So once I've done all of this, I like to pop on a fresh spur gear. Does the car need it? No, but for peace of mind, yes, I like to put one on, and makes the car super fresh, is what I'm looking for here. So now it's time to put the drivetrain back in. Firstly, in goes the spool with the front belt, and then the rear belt and the rear diff. Now make sure when you're putting these back in that they both go in the same position, but whether that be high, whether that be low, and make sure that your belt tensions front to rear are the same, whether that be tight or whether that be slack. But for stock racing, I'll have them rather on the slack side than the tighter side. So in this instance, there was a part of the car I was really not happy with, so I waited some parts, but continued to strip down. As you can see here, I'm checking shims with the vernier calipers. Even though these shims have come off the car, I want to make sure that what goes back on is correct. It's a rookie mistake if you just take everything else off, put it back on and hope for the best. If things not in the right place, it can cause massive issues for either drivability and handling of your car, something of which we all don't want. So after this, it's basically checking myself. As you can see here, I'm double checking my roll bar, make sure both of these are equal, and then putting the diff and the spool actually back in again making sure that they are in the positions that I'm happy with, and making sure that the tensions I'm also happy with as well. So this being an Xray 24, and you'll notice for a 25 as well, the shocks went inboard, so I'm just making sure that the shim is sat underneath the post here, because if it's not, it can cause massive issues down the line, something of which I have found out later in this build. So once it's all set, then it's onto 10mm blocks, and I reset the car via the top deck. Then it's onto the shocks, and the shocks have been measured. They get a fresh O-ring and a fresh bladder, as you can tell here. So just got to make sure that I'm happy with the rebound, make sure they're cleaned up. Then it's back onto the car. It's always good practice to double check your screws, and as you can see, here I am doing it. Next up, I check the tyres see if they're still glued well, and if they are, place them on the car and double check the ride height. I do this with the battery in, and then it's onto the droop. So the two corners, left front, right front, need to be the same, and left rear, right rear also. Double check this a few times. As you can see, it could be a long process to get all of this right. But by double checking myself here, I did come across a mistake that I made earlier in the build. Disappointing, but I'd rather catch it here than at the track. Last few jobs now, so I'll check the front and rear toe and camber, making sure those are spot on, before moving on to tweak, which is the last thing I do before I put the car on the track. I use the hoodie tweak gauge to make sure it's good left to right. Then once I'm done, I put a battery in, put the wheels and tyres on, double check my body shell, make sure it's of correct height, and that's it, car race ready. Thank you for joining me on this adventure, hopefully you've enjoyed it and it's a good insight, and I'll see you at the track.